The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of Worldwide Digital Broadcasting Corporation.
Where my girl got the sweetest pussy.
Welcome to SinCityBounty.com. We're missing one of our tripod legs today. She had family business, but that's okay. We have so much stuff happen this week.
So much. It was kind of amazing because
I have tons and tons of notes.
I just have a single page. However, I have so much swirling in my mind, and when we talked about what we're going to discuss tonight, we were like furiously texting back and forth.
Don't forget that guy. Don't forget that guy. But let's start with your favorite. I don't know why you have it on your mind right now, but let's start with the story you want to talk about.
I'm feeling some kind of way about it. I mean,
and you're not even a football fan.
I'm not a football fan. I'm having very, very strong feelings about this. So here's what happened. If you're not aware, Chris Foester, he's one of the Miami Dolphins coaches. He's not the head coach.
Offensive line coach.
Had a video released recently.
Some lady turned his ass in. That's what she did.
So here's what it was. The video, if you watch it, it came out, and then it came about why it came out. So it came out where in the video, he is snorting coke
at his desk.
At work. Obviously at work, and he kept saying, "I'm going in a meeting," and he was snorting it. And for somebody who's never done coke before, I'm like, that seems like an awful lot. Like, there's lumps in there. Like, how is that shit getting up? Apparently it is.
All I didn't read a lot of stories, but the two news stories that I read just called it white powder.
Yeah, they keep right, because they can't determine exactly what it is just based on video alone. But
right.
I mean, let's be real. We all know what it is. We all know that he was snorting coke. He had the rolled up money. It was great.
Did you actually see the video? Did
yes.
you watch the video?
Yes. And here's what's amazing about the video. So he's leaning in at the camera, and he's like, this is going to be it for a while. And he's like, how bad is this? I'm doing it before a meeting. And so he's, snorting and snorting. He's like, I got to clean it up a little bit. He snorts. He takes the last bit. This is my favorite part. He takes the last bit, and he's like, he rubs it in his gums, and he's like, I wish I was licking this off your pussy.
Nuh-uh.
Yes.
Nuh-uh.
Yes. So the person he sent this to is somebody from here in Las Vegas, and I'm not 100% sure what her profession is. I read in some places that she's a stripper. On her page, she is like an aspiring actress. But
I think all strippers are aspiring actresses.
Maybe, but
or college students.
Somehow they were in some semblance of a relationship to where he felt comfortable enough to send her a coke video. So there's the story there. So it gets published, and the reason she put it out is because of what happened this past weekend. And what it is the Dolphins owner said nobody's allowed to take a knee. And she felt it was very hypocritical.
So she protested.
She was protesting
in her own manner.
In her own way. And what she said is that you guys are such hypocrites. You have wife beaters, you have animal abusers, you have drug users, you have all of this, and you allow them to remain in football. But your issue is some guys taking a knee. And here's an example.
I totally did not read the same news articles that you did.
Well, because here's what they did. They've turned it into much, much more. So here's where it's gone from here. She put it out. It comes out, his boss is finding it at night. He resigns quickly or something, and he's no longer there. So here's what happens now, and this is the part that has me ragey. Like, I am ragey. Ragey. And again, I'm not even into sports. The blowback is on her. And I earlier watched a video that a guy made saying, like, you're the worst stripper there is. A stripper is like the Pope, where people tell you things and you're not supposed to share it. And how dare you share that information with the public?
I want to go to that stripper school.
Right?
Where I have to take those kind of vows.
Yeah. So this blogger, this vlogger, whatever, podcast, I don't know who the fuck you are, equated the shippers to the Pope or a priest or whatever, where you go and you tell them something and they can't tell people. So just earlier,
this moment right here in this story could easily hop, skip, and jump right over to some of the other stories that we're talking about tonight.
Easily. But here's what's happening now. This woman, I actually tried to get her on the show. She's from Las Vegas. And I thought I'd check out her page in a last-ditch attempt to try, because I really felt that it was a shame that what it turned into was slut-shaming her.
Right.
Immediately, it was her. And, not being angry at this individual who apparently is the worst Coke user ever, because, like, you don't take videos and send it. You don't take videos of your drug use and send it out.
Yeah, because you know what? If my friend, the stripper, had a video like that on her phone and I was cruising through her phone looking at the dick pics that she gets sent all the time, and I ran across that video, I would so post that video.
I would too. Or I would at least keep it for my own personal use. But anyway, so she's totally on her. And at one point she said, hey, she posted on Facebook, like, hey guys, why is it when Tiger Woods was involved in a scandal, they were like, hey, it's Tiger Woods. And they were pissed at Tiger Woods. And they were like, Tiger Woods, how could you do this to your wife? How could you do this to your kids? Tiger Woods, you're kind of shitty. But when it's a white man in sports, it's totally like, by the way, she's black. So it immediately, like, it's totally on her.
Yeah.
Like the release, everything, it's on her. And so she posted some of the messages that she was receiving. She didn't post mine, by the way. I was kind of disappointed, but I wouldn't have posted anything mean to her. But people were calling her just the worst things.
We got your back, honey.
Damn.
Vendetta says, as someone who lives in Miami, I have laughed at how many people down here consider what he did to be normal.
There is nothing normal about it. You're there doing a job. Can anyone else go into work and snort coke? No. But yet the issue the owner has is guys taking a fucking knee and not your coaching staff.
Now, did he
working?
Did the owner say that players are no longer allowed to take a knee before or after the Pence protest? Because that's what Pence did. He protested.
Right, and it came out on Sunday. So I don't know if it happened before, after, during, but it's not the first team to do this. Mm-hmm. The Cowboys have also, their owner has said, if you take a knee, then you're out the whole game. Which rolls us into more football.
And we're not even that big of fans. I used to watch football, but I don't know. It's all the same thing anymore. It's a lot of men hitting each other, and I'm not a big fan of that.
Which is the best part, by the way.
And you know what? I like the slow-mo running. When they do the replays and they have those tight ends or whatever running and their muscles are rippling, that's what I love.
Yeah, that part's awesome.
Yeah.
Although there is a lot, that, if you read into it, there's a lot of studies regarding the concussions and the correlations with what athletes do post-career. That's some very interesting reading, and definitely something that needs to be continue to be studied. So these men are essentially chancing their lives to entertain us.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, I'm not equating it to anybody else who puts their lives on the line, for others. But I'm just saying they do it obviously for the money and for the fame and to entertain. And it's
there's a bit of prestige with being really good at something.
There is,
which
course.
I fully understand. I cheer on those guys that get those trophies and do their thing, and I love it. I'm just not into violence. I won't watch boxing. Let me slide into UFC fighting. I am not a fan of UFC fighting at all because it's fucking gory. It's horrible. And then we have the president of the UFC, what the hell is his name? Dana White, telling Jason Aldean to never fucking come to Vegas anymore because he wouldn't perform at their, hey, we've got 15 survivors and like a shit ton of first responders coming and we're going to do a tribute to them at our opening UFC thing and you should really come and sing the national anthem. And Jason Aldean, well, his people said, he doesn't know if he's going to perform live anywhere for a while.
Right.
But he did go onto a private closed set to Saturday Night Live to do this beautiful tribute, doing a Tom Petty song, and where he got to speak right into the camera from his heart. And Dana White, motherfucker from the UFC, said, don't fucking come back to Vegas. You can come stay at my house, Jason. I don't like country, but you can stay at my house.
You totally stay in my house. Jason, you cannot stay in my house. I don't know how to explain that one to my daughter. So
Well, he'd be sleeping on the couch, but
we'll send him to yours.
It's not like he's going to be in my bed or anything. Little pop-up tent in the living room. Stay in that.
Well, here's the deal. First, UFC, I've watched some UFC fights before. UFC's a skill. And it's an absolute skill.
Don't get me wrong. The fighting is great. Right? I like my fighting in the movies where I know it's staged.
Right.
And nobody's getting an actual broken nose.
Right. Whereas they're really getting the broken nose.
When I hear stories of Harrison Ford falling off the horse or whatever happens to an actual stuntman or movie star who gets hurt doing their own stunts, I freak out. I'm like, oh my God, are they okay? Because it's not supposed to be real. That's what I like about it.
Well, Jason Aldean, here's the deal. I think, number one, he went through something pretty traumatic.
He was on stage.
He was raised up above others. He was in a prime spot where it absolutely could have been him. A lot trashed him for running off the stage after. But he continued after the shots started. He continued for quite a few seconds. I mean, seconds at that point feel like forever.
Right.
But they thought it was pyrotechnics. They didn't know what it was. And then at one point, I don't know if he was told to get off or what have you, but a lot of times at concerts, I mean, that's who they're going for, is the person on stage. So he did what anybody else would have done. He's a performer. Mm-hmm. It's not like the police turned around and ran and they're like, let's haul our asses out of here. Yeah. They ran into it. The rest of us run out. That's kind of how it, how you expect it to go. But that man came back and he met with the survivors in the hospital. Him and his wife came back.
Yeah.
So
okay, now back to football. I want to because we have a comment. We have a comment on our Facebook feed for those of you who are watching this regular YouTube video when it comes out in a couple days. We broadcast live on our Facebook page, SinCityBounty. So just go to our Facebook page, and we have Justin says, "So you are ragey."
Yeah,
which is
so
awesome. Tristan, just two ladies. Yeah, we explained that at the beginning. Sierra can't be with us tonight. Tristan also says nothing hotter than ladies talking about football. Well, Cam Newton doesn't seem to think so. Or he does. I can't really tell. He thought it was super hilarious that a woman was talking about running routes. And of course, he got slammed pretty bad for it. He apologized. I watched the little apology. I watched the short apology that he made on Twitter, and I thought it was very sincere. He's got daughters, and I'm sure he's not raising them to not talk about football since he's a football player. But then, as a social media person, I also found out that the reporter, Jourdan Rodrigue, I think is her name, she got called out for a couple of kind of awful tweets back in a few years ago.
She had some bad tweets years ago. But going right back to this incident, I believe that he tried to apologize off microphone, and apparently it was worse than what he said.
Right.
And then he tried to apologize just saying, oh, I just thought it was, funny. And it's one of those where you're like, shh, stop. Just stop. You got it. Let's back it up. Take a breath. Let's think this one through.
Anyway, so Jourdan, the reporter, she had there were three tweets that she was being slammed for. Two of them were talking about, I think it was her dad or her brother, a member of her family, who was super racist and making racist jokes, and it seemed like she was very laughing about it, which I've done because my mom can get kind of racist. I'm always telling the story that I'm trying to talk her down from that, but I do laugh when I talk about my mom being racist, so I don't know, I can't really fault her for that. But the other one, I'm not even going to mention what it is, but it's in all caps. It says the N-word, which she should never say. Glass houses, I think. You should not throw charges. But Cam Newton laughing about this girl. So I didn't really have an issue with that, because when I meet someone new and all of a sudden they look normal, dressed like John or dressed like you, and then they start telling me about the molecular structure of cheese or something like that, I kind of look over and I go, that's kind of awesome.
Totally different setting. Totally different. He was there with reporters, and that's their profession. It's not like he ran into her in Target.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then she came up in Target, and she was like, hey, how about those? I watched it. I don't even know what it was. Cam, I don't know what it is. I have no fucking clue. Y'all just run the ball, slam into each other, bam, watching the commercials.
Okay, I can understand the difference. So
it's not as if it was a scenario in which he should have felt that she couldn't do her job. So he was, not only was it kind of insulting, but it really was implying that she didn't know how to do her job. She's not the first female sports reporter. I mean, Erin Andrews, who is on Dancing with the Stars, she's gone through a lot over the years, but she really had to get out there and prove herself to be taken seriously as a professional, and there's no reason that this particular reporter should have been treated any different. So he wouldn't have said that to like some big burly dude scratching his balls. He would have been like, hey, kind of odd you asked me that question. True. Little silly to hear guys with beards ask me about
fairies.
Yeah, or ask me about plays, kind of weird. So, and Mike said that's exactly how I apologize. Must be a dumbass thing. I too kind of, when I apologize, I usually think I make it worse. But he has to have some mic etiquette. I mean, they have to teach him something, right?
Well, if you look at most of the stories we're talking about today, and then we're going to talk about Harvey Weinstein, and it's institutionalized. This thinking that women are lower class citizens, it's an institutionalized kind of thinking. Mm-hmm. I was just listening. I listen to podcasts on my drive, and I'm listening to how the birth control has been taken away from healthcare for women because political or religious groups were being bullied into having to pay for birth control, and the history of it is fucking amazing. It wasn't until 1972 that birth control was available to the poor public, as it were. And it's, oh my God.
Don't get me going on the people and their whole birth control, anti-abortion. But you know what? When they're in the system, we don't give a fuck. Like, once they're born, it doesn't matter. We just care about everything prior.
Yeah.
If every single person, I know this is so cliche, but if every single person who bitched about the whole leading up to having a child just went out and adopted one kid out of foster care or out of an orphanage somewhere, the world would be a better place. So anyway, totally aside from that, the Hobby Lobby. Totally the Hobby Lobby. I have not gone into the Hobby Lobby.
I have a coupon for there, so when I go, I'm going to take a pack of condoms and just start
Can you
throwing
throw
them
that
all
at
over
people?
the place. Yeah.
Don't take our expired ones.
No.
That won't work. So since we're on the subject of football, Mike Pence. Mikey.
Mike Pence.
Mikey. Mike Pence. Is his name really Mike? It just doesn't sound right now.
Sounds good to me.
Michael Pence?
Mike Pence is good. He protested at a football game.
He sounds like a kid I went to high school with who's in the Young Republicans Club.
One of the best tweets that I saw was the difference between Mike Pence protesting players kneeling and players kneeling in protest is that it cost the football players $0. It cost the American public $0 for the football protesters to do that, and it costs the price of the trip to the game, the tickets, if you had to pay for tickets, that is, security, and all of that to us American public for Mike Pence to protest.
So the cost is estimated, not including the pre-sweep, is estimated at some $242,000 for this protest. So basically what he did, if you're under a rock and the only thing you tune into every week is us, number one, thank you.
Thank you.
Number two,
It's cleavage for that. Cleavage.
it is definitely not my cleavage, so thank you. So he went to the Colts game, and it was great. He went in. Oh my God. Some of the players kneeled in a silent protest. Who would have known they would do that? And he left because he would not let them disrespect our military and our flag.
President at Donald Trump would not.
Well, first all that there was he left. He was there and he left. He was appalled. After this happened, it came out many things. Donald Trump tweets that I told him if anyone protests and disrespects our country to leave.
Wait, I gotta do this right.
I told him to do it. It's like, it would be like you choking, me running over and saving you, and you sitting here going, I told her to do it. I told her, go give him the Heimlich. So childish. But okay, aside from that, so then there's that. Then a few more facts come out. Number one, the press pool that normally follows the vice president was told to stay in their vehicles because the vice president may not be long. He may not be staying. Next, he had an event he had to be to in LA, which he had to be there. I want to say he had to be there at 4.
6:30.
Well, time difference. Something with 4:30 and 4 o'clock. Like one of these would have ended at a certain time. He had to be at this event at a certain time and fly there. And it was already, prearranged. Then he had tweeted out in the beginning a photo of him and his wife at a game in 2014.
2014, yeah.
What the fuck?
It's adult daycare.
What the fuck? Here's the deal, Mikey, not my cunt that I know is in the chat right now. Not that Mikey. Mikey Pence. Here's the deal. I have actually said on this show that if anything, like if the president were to be forced out of office, God that you may not be awful, because at least you won't be a national embarrassment. I fucking take it back.
International embarrassment.
Yeah, an international embarrassment. Yes, thank you. I take it back. That was some shady shit you pulled. That was some shady ass shit. You cost us money.
Yeah, and no qualms. He's,
at a time.
Big Daddy's his teacher.
Right, at a time where it is a huge issue about the fat cat spending and how, Trump is going to cut all that out. What the fuck?
Yeah.
To prove a point, you already attended the game. I go back to what I said before about this, when the people were burning their shit. That cult shit you had on was already paid for. You're hurting nobody. The ticket, if you bought it, I doubt you bought it, but if you did, already paid for. What are you doing? You just, we talked about for a couple days? We talked about what Mike Pence did at this game. You know what we didn't talk about for a couple days? Russia. So...
I have a feeling. Hold on. Okay. So fucking Pence. All right, that's it for football, right?
I think we're done with sports.
No more sports.
Unless y'all want to hear about high school soccer. I mean, it's heating up really well into
Let's talk about our two favorite people right now, which I can't believe there are two favorite people right now. Tennessee Republican Senator Bob Corker and previously Exxon CEO, now Secretary of State, Ron Tillerson.
So I've got nothing on Tillerson. I just ignore that one.
So Toxie and I are two of the most liberal people you're ever going to meet. I think Trump sets out to make all of his people get felt sorry for by the liberal side, because I'm really liking Tillerson and Corker right now, even though they're motherfucking Republicans.
I don't dislike Republicans.
Well, true.
I don't dislike Republicans, and I believe we all have, our own right to believe what we believe, but there's extremists, and there's extremists in both ways, and there's just so much that I can't believe that people find acceptable. So it's not that I don't like Republicans, it's that I'm in awe that they can't see past the bullshit to say, hey, I'm really not going to accept this from my president.
Yeah.
Cocker.
He's our favorite, right? He's our
amazing.
favorite right now, just because he gives no fucks.
The best tweet I have ever seen. What started it? He started saying that he was retiring, like he announced his retirement.
Right.
And then Trump came out and said, the only reason he's retiring is I wouldn't endorse him.
Trump went off script at the Boy Scout speech thing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And Corker said that he didn't think that Trump was showing the right stability and competence to be a president.
Right.
And then, of course, Trump threw out a bunch of tweets and said things like he's the one that gave us the horrendous Iran deal.
Yes,
he sought re-election and we wouldn't back him, and that he wanted to be Secretary of State, and we said no. And
I told him no. All caps.
And then
I told him no.
And then during an interview, I think it was with Corker, he was asked about Tillerson getting cut off at the knees by President Trump with a tweet about "Don't worry about North Korea. It's no use negotiating with North Korea. We'll take care of it. We'll do what we have to do," or something like that. And Corker said, well, people like Tillerson and the new chief of staff, that Sergeant Kelly, that John Kelly, that's right. And he mentioned other guys. Those guys are keeping us from like complete chaos right now. Oh my God. Fucking hilarious.
So can I share this tweet?
Wait.
So
okay. Oh no. So and then go ahead. Donald Trump tweeted.
Yeah. He blah 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 blah.
Right.
My favorite time when I wake up on Sunday, I normally first check CNN to see how fucked we are, and then I go to, I don't follow him, but I go to Donald Trump's Twitter to see, because he's normally up. To me, he's the guy who goes out drinking Saturday night and instead of going to sleep, sits at home in his like underwear tweeting shit at 3 a.m. like when he should be sleeping. Yeah. And so somewhere like his wife should be like, honey, just put the phone down and go to sleep. Like, you'll feel better in the morning. But instead, he's hiding in the bathroom tweeting shit. So I don't even know. I don't remember what all he was tweeting. And that's not the important part. The important part is the response from Corker, which was, it's like, I don't have the exact words, but it's something like, it's like, do you have the exact words?
No, I just have.
It is like the White House is an adult daycare, and somebody forgot to show up for their shift.
Corker.
It is the greatest thing I've ever.
I'll never forget the name Corker because of that.
I can't
believe Corker.
Is it Corker?
But it's like last week where we could not believe we were entertaining everybody with Trump stories.
Right.
And now I am loving Bob Corker, Senator Bob Corker, and ex-CEO of Exxon, Ron Tillerson. Because they're going to do, I'm sure he was joking, but Donald Trump said, Tillerson and I should take an IQ test. And Mensa has offered to host the test.
I could be wrong. I thought he had been tested before. Like, I thought that I read something where Trump is actually really intelligent. He's like super intelligent.
He's just psychopathic.
He's super intelligent?
Most psychopaths are usually pretty intelligent.
Am I wrong? Who is it then?
Who is what?
There's somebody.
It's his kid.
Oh my God.
Not Donald Jr.
No.
And not Eric.
No.
Mike says, Donald Trump is not a cannibal. I watched that. I watched that. That was hilarious. Say something nice about Trump. Donald Trump is not a cannibal.
Tim said, isn't it sad that our political news has just become the recap part of Real Housewives?
It is! Oh my God, I could not believe all the things that were happening. Oh, wait. But now, so we've talked about a senator and we've talked about a secretary of state. Let's talk about a House representative. Let's talk about the anti-abortion House representative from Pennsylvania.
I know.
From Pennsylvania.
Why, people?
Who is resigning.
Why?
Because...
Wait, he is very anti-abortion. Nobody gets an abortion. Nobody. I have full control. No one gets an abortion.
For at least a couple years, he's been
You don't get an abortion. You don't get an abortion. You don't get an abortion. Hey, baby. Can you get an abortion? You don't get an abortion unless I knocked you up.
So this motherfucker went to court to divorce his wife and found out that he had a mistress. And his mistress texted him and said, why the hell you spouting out all this anti-abortion crap when you just asked me to have an abortion last week? And then she shared the texts. Because, God damn it, women, please do that more often.
Dude. How's that anti-abortion stance now?
If a motherfucker wants you to massage him while he's sitting in his bathrobe in his hotel room, or wants you to sit on his couch when you're going to interview for an actress job, report him.
Which leads us to
Harvey Weinstein. Is that how you say it? Weinstein? Harvey Perv Dude. And his ilk. Because he's not the only one. And then Donna Karen on the carpet said, well, don't you think women are just asking for it? The way that we dress, the way that we look, the cleavage that we show. Am I asking for it? Fuck you.
Donna Karen.
Donna.
Is she even relevant anymore? I don't think so.
She's a designer.
I know, but her clothes are old. Like, my mom wore them in
Her
1987.
clothes are slutty on top of it.
My mom wore it in 1987. Sorry, Mom, for your slutty clothes, but you and your Ginette perfume wearing Donna Karen.
My God.
Wearing your pumps to work. So Harvey Weinstein, right before we left, I checked for any recent updates. As you know, the failing New York Times.
The failing.
Failing.
The fake news failing.
Fake news failing New York Times, where subscribers are going down.
Actually, they have a new subscriber.
Published a piece, and for 3 decades.
Well, let us tell you what happened. So he's been doing this for 3 decades, just like you said. But it wasn't until in 2015 when a model named Laura Gutierrez, I don't know if I have the first name right.
I'm gonna stand. I'm really feeling ragey, honestly.
She was harassed and went to the New York Police Department.
With a recording.
Well, hold on. She went to and reported it to the New York Police Department, which I don't think had ever been done before, and if it had, he had settled, because it was found out later that he had settled with like 8 other cases.
Right.
The NYPD wired her ass up and sent her back the next day, which she did willingly, and got him admitting that he would never do it again. Mm-hmm. And then the New York Times got hold of the story. They were working on it for about a week or so before they turned it over, and just all of these situations, events came out, and the charges are not only just harassment from simple, why don't you give me a massage in my hotel room, to rape.
But the charges that were initially done through this recording were dropped.
Yeah.
And the charges were dropped because they felt that the recording the audio was not sufficient enough to charge him. And this it's one of those things where it's one of the worst kept secrets in Hollywood.
Yeah. But he's been fired from his company.
From his own company, the Weinstein Company.
Which his brother is a member on the board, who also fired him. He's going to be taking over.
4 of the board members resigned.
He sent out a letter to a bunch of other studio heads to please back him up, to help him out, and he did not get an answer at all from any of them. So kudos to them. I don't think there's anyone sticking up for him at all. Even Donna Karen has apologized for her statement, her tape-recorded statement, by the way.
Gwyneth Paltrow has come out. Angelina Jolie has come out. Brad Pitt confronted him years ago after it's kind of ironic or coincidental, he was dating Gwyneth Paltrow when she told Brad.
I don't see why. I mean, these women, once they got big, why didn't they say something?
It's the same reason. Well, maybe it's a little different. I think it might be a little different than the Cosby deal, because women have been saying it about Cosby, or they were. No one would listen to them. Whereas in this case, it's one of those things where it was kind of like whispered about. Yeah. It was joked about at an awards ceremony years ago.
And they'll never work in this town again if they open their mouths.
That's basically it.
Well,
that's basically it.
I know women now who were abused when they were kids, and they still don't talk about it now. Yeah.
So his wife has now split from him.
Yeah. With
their children.
She's trying to protect her brand. She's got her own brand. Clothing or something like that. So
yeah.
I don't know. I think we're almost out of time, or if we're out.
I think we are.
Are we out? Well, I wanted to talk about.
Anyway, I think I'm so ragey, like I'm going to. I'm gonna walk out in a minute.
So I wanted to talk about Dove, but we can talk about it another time, or I'll just keep that to myself. The ACLU has pissed me off. There's a big story. Please Google ACLU Charlottesville and read all the stories that have to do with that. I love the ACLU, but I don't know if I love the ACLU. I'm so torn right now. Just a primer, ACLU Virginia helped the white nationalists set up their march. So And then, of
But
course...
football players, do not take a knee in
No.
silent protest.
And then, of course...
Not take a knee.
Don't ever watch the reruns of Glee anymore.
Well, I stopped watching when the guy who plays Finn died. I couldn't watch after that, just out of pure sadness. Corey Monteith. But then the whole thing came out about fucking Puck. I forget his name right now.
I'm Alexia.
Toxie.
Hope we entertained you, even though now we've depressed ourselves. We're SinCityBounty. We'll be back next week.
Later, bitches!